and we are here talking about voiceover.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. It is good to be live.
We got a great
If
weekend.
you are brand new, make sure you subscribe, like us. We're very likable. And make sure you hit that bell notification so when we do go live, you get notified. Uh, Coffee
What coffee mug are
mugs.
you rocking?
I
Okay,
definitely got my dad fuel today.
I got my
Ooh, Scorpio.
Scorpio. Yeah, but look, it's got a book. That's why
Oh,
I love
that's
it so
cute.
much. I'm like,
That's
oh,
cute. I'm
yeah.
an Aries. Are
I
you a
have all my.
Scorpio?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Can't you tell? Sure.
Yeah. Oh, very.
I'm like textbook man.
Mm. Today is we love Fridays.
Oh my god.
Today is an open forum Friday or whatever we're
Mhm.
calling it, but it is your chance to bring us your questions. Put them in the chat. We're going to answer them live right here. And you don't have to wait. You get them answered right away.
Yeah.
So make sure also you say hello, put your name in the chat, where you're from, and ask us anything.
I have no
Um,
idea why. I just had like a weird Monty Python moment when you said bring out your questions. I'm like, bring out your dad.
Shrubbery,
Shrubbery.
shrubbery.
Love a good
Dylan
shrubbery.
says hello from chilly, overcast Michigan.
Oh, hey
Hey,
Dylan.
Dylan, where are you in Michigan? I don't. I was just up in Detroit. So, well, when I say just up there, it was a few months ago. But Miriam, it says hello from Oregon. It's great to have you,
Mhm.
Miriam. Hi, nice to see you guys. Um, let's see. So we were just as we're good morning, strange storm. As we were talking, this week's been a really, I think, great week. Did you know, by the way, on a side note, this is our I think this is 17. Did you know that, Gabby? We've done
Shut up.
17.
Really?
Yes, 17
I
sessions
feel like
so
we
far.
started this
No,
yesterday.
18. This is the 18th one.
I
So
feel like we
17
started
was
doing this
yesterday.
yesterday. Seriously.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Wow.
18. Happy 18.
My goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? Time flies.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I mean, it
Um,
just goes to show how much about this industry, right? We can talk about, and I mean, if you get two people like us that love to talk, I mean, it flies by. It just goes
ain't
quick.
that the truth?
So
Um,
bring
y-
out your questions,
yeah.
friends.
Questions.
Yeah.
Over the past week, we did have, I think we really did well. We talked a lot about rates this week
Yep.
and how to set all that up. I had a great conversation about
Mm.
contracts yesterday. I thought that was really fantastic.
And and still there's so much more to cover.
Mm,
So much more. Like
hmm.
we could probably talk about rates for weeks
Oh yeah.
and not run out of
Oh yeah.
little minutia and little things,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
just so much.
something to mention, and we talked about this actually stopped after we finished our session yesterday about the contracts, is that we also recognize, right, that there's going to be changes or differences depending on what area you're working in for your contract. So for
Oh,
example,
yeah,
right, if
yeah,
you
yeah,
are
yeah.
doing audiobooks, your contract is going to be geared towards the things that, the expectations that everyone has for audiobooks, right? Same thing what you were talking about for broadcasting and things that you is very
Mhm,
geared towards
mhm,
that,
mhm, mhm.
and so that's a whole nother topic, because you could see how that would go different if maybe you strictly did voicemail
Well,
and
yeah,
IVR.
there's contracts for retainers, there's contracts for broadcast, there's contracts for promo and imaging and audiobooks and right. So there's so many different categories that, a contract is not always one size fits all, but a good contract can always be adapted. It can always be modified to suit, multiple needs simply by changing certain verbiage or passages, that kind of thing. Um, yeah.
No, absolutely. All right, Dylan has a question for us.
What you got, Dylan?
Where did you both get your first regional and national commercials from? Oh, that's a good question. Oh, you already are laughing.
Yeah, because I got stories.
Oh my goodness.
I got stories.
Well, start us off.
All right. So this is not something I divulge often.
Mm.
Okay. When I was a very young, very naive, very uninformed voice actor, really, I wasn't even a voice actor yet. I was a radio performer. And I was working on Long Island, which is where I'm from, where I was born and raised, but spitting distance to Manhattan. So I was no stranger to the city and all of its things. Anyway, in the 90s, there was a writer's strike, slightly more infamous than the one we just went through
Mm.
recently with the union. And that writer's strike went on for a significant period of time as well. But there's always a trickle down effect when one aspect of the union strikes, because when one sector of the union strikes, everybody strikes. You're on strike, no matter who is being represented. Well, not knowing any better, because I was literally a babe in the woods, I was hired to do a Dunkin' Donuts commercial.
Really?
That effectively I was a scab. I didn't
Huh.
even really know or understand what any of it meant. All I knew was I got this opportunity, I got this audition that I otherwise never would have gotten because it was a unionized job, or it would have been union if the union hadn't been on strike. And yeah, that was my very first major booking. And when I got the check, I mean, I was so young. I still lived at home with mom and dad like I was a kid. And I remember opening the check, and my dad was like over my shoulder, and he was like, "Yeah, so how do you get more of that and less of this garbage paycheck that you're making in radio?" You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that was truly the start of me going, "How do I become a voice actor? Like, how do I go into this?" Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that
That
is
was my
so
first.
cool.
Yeah, yeah,
So so for me, when I first started out, of course, it was so I have a different path because for me, I did not start out in I started out with audiobooks. So
right.
I did for a couple of years, literally the main thing was audiobooks. And I did a lot of auditioning though on like voices.com and voice 123. Also at the time it was Bunny Studios. It's now well no, Voice Bunny, excuse me.
Yeah,
At the time it was Voice Bunny. And there was a lot of things that I was trying on there, but I did some things that wasn't really catching. But then when I went through my whole process of working on my voice and changing things, I was contacted by a studio who was doing a spec for the new parking system for BMW. And,
ooh,
um, so I was really excited about that. And then I, I did that, but it was a spec. But then I was reached, they told somebody, anyways, the story goes, then I was reached out by Subaru in Canada to do a YouTube spread for Canada on Subaru. So I did, and I don't know how they just knew the studio or whatever. So then I did this whole spread for them, and then people were like, "Contact, oh my god, I just saw you. I just is that your voice?" It's super. So I did this Subaru thing. That was early. That was something that one thing led to another. The BMW thing came through Fiverr, but the studio did. But the other thing was a referral that came directly to me.
but clearly there was some kind of automotive connection here. There was
Right.
some middle person using one of these services that was connected to automotive in multiple parts of the globe. That's cool.
Right. And I would say, you're not going to necessarily always get those kind of jobs through the platforms, but you never know where having yourself spread out, your marketing,
Hmm.
that it can lead to someone who knows someone or someone says something or someone sees
Right,
something that you did. For all I know, they were part of the group who was doing these. I don't know, maybe. But anyway, so the point is that's how that happened. That's how I
right.
got that, and that was really exciting.
That's cool.
And yeah,
Yeah,
and they've come back to me now a couple times to do stuff Subaru in
that's really
Canada.
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that I forgot to talk about is, so with mine, with that booking, the how was really bizarre because there was a strike taking place. The agencies and the really the ad agencies, they were desperate to get auditions. So what they did was they sent the audition to the radio stations in
Oh
the
wow.
local market. Yeah. And I mean, the thought process was, okay, we're New York City, we're market one, like,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have some decent performers. And so that's how I got the audition. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
That just does not happen anymore. Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Well, we've got another question from AJ. What is the easiest way to start if you don't have many resources? I live in a small town.
okay.
Great question. Great
Well,
question.
what do
Um,
you mean by resources?
yeah, that would be what I would ask. Because and you said I live in a small town,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not sure. Do you mean like resources in a small town, meaning like a studio,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not? Yeah, I don't know.
Are you feeling like work is dependent on location? Like there's a lot of possibilities there, right? So we talk about this an awful lot. Voice acting is global. You
Hmm.
know, when I moved to Charlotte 20 some odd years ago, it was like crickets. Like there was
Mm,
no voice acting scene. There were no like I didn't it was crazy. Like so where you are doesn't necessarily matter, you
right.
know? Anthony's in a small town in Virginia. Like
Yeah.
we're not yeah, I mean your location is no longer a huge to do. Now, I will say if you're looking for, acting coaching or you're looking for improv coaching or, networking, those are where you might be at a
In
slight
person. Yeah.
disadvantage. Yeah,
Yeah.
but everything is achievable online now. So,
Okay, there you go. So AJ said I can't really take acting classes, and I'm not sure how to start in general.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you can acting classes can totally be taken online. You can learn a tremendous amount from a number of instructors that way. I mean, that's how the entire, you know, VOJ Academy
Well, I was
operates.
dying to say, yeah. I mean, we
Creator's
that's
journey
that's
is,
why we set up. I
yeah,
mean, that's a big reason why we set up the VO Journey Academy. Was to offer, those classes to voice actors anywhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's tons of resources from that standpoint. As far as the not knowing how to start in general, so I mean, I have on my website on GabrielleNistico.com, I have a getting started section that is pretty extensive and it's free. And I talk about a lot of the just the different things that people may or may not know when they're considering getting started in this industry. There's a lot there in terms of things that you can access for free. There's an FAQ that I'm really proud of because it really gets into like what sorts of things should you be aware of before you embark on this.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think me personally, the getting started question I always say comes down to how can you educate yourself with the most information for the least amount of money?
Hmm.
My number one answer to that is books.
Hmm.
Books. You
Hmm.
get buy all the books on voiceover, and there's plenty of them on Amazon. I have links to a bunch of authors on my site. And the other is going to be an organization like VOJ, where you can get access to a tremendous amount of knowledge at a very affordable rate versus, spending thousands and thousands of dollars and like going out and investing in packages or equipment or like, don't do that yet.
No, I agree. And the one thing
Yeah.
about VOJ, and whether no matter what you go to, but VOJ, the difference with the academy that we want to do is a lot of coaches specialize in one thing, right? Or they
Yep.
specialize, which is wonderful. But that's when you're first starting, you're not really ready to specialize in something, because you don't even know how to get off the,
Yeah.
how to get started. So that's kind of what VOJ does. There's opportunities to specialize, but there's also how to get started, how to go everything from the first moment you begin to booking work
Hmm.
consistently. So yeah, great question. And by the way, if you're just joining us, this is our open forum day. We're here to answer your questions. Post your questions here. It can be about anything about voiceover. It doesn't matter what it is. We are here to answer it.
Yeah. And I mean,
Um,
I think, getting started as a topic, right? It's so confusing. Like I pity people that are just getting started in this industry today
mm,
because it's the total opposite of what I went through. I went through this like it was like there were no resources. There was nobody like
oh wow, yeah,
you had to really like meet people and ask a million questions and you had to do a lot of trial and error versus now there's an overload of information out
oh
there
yeah,
and it can become kind of scary. So
oh yeah.
I feel like, again, it's like start small. Please don't just run out and buy gear. Please don't
Mm,
do that.
mm.
That's always something I
I
caution
definitely have
against.
seen a lot of
Oh,
people, do that very thing where they go out or they've found somebody with a YouTube thing telling
mhm.
them, this is a great side cut, like a
A
way to get
hobby
right,
income,
right. You know what I
passive,
mean?
yeah.
And then I'm always like, oh, bless your heart.
Yeah.
I wish I could have talked. I wish we could have done because a lot of what you'll find is we know good gear around the
Mhm.
same price.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
I
because they're not
oh,
all they're not all in voiceover either, and that's what's
no.
hard, right? Because there's what you do to stream for video games, it's not the same what we do.
No, and podcasting and like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of different choices and there's a lot of different price points.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is there's a lot of misinformation out there and there's a lot of people that try, because the name of the game with content is getting attention and it's getting numbers and if somebody is just like, "Hey, awesome $30 microphone to do voice acting," that video is going to get a ton of hits and it's going to get a ton of attention. But you got to stop and ask, is it really true? That
Oh yeah.
that's really the big problem there. But yes, there is affordable gear out there for sure. But yeah, just don't run out and buy stuff not really knowing what you're buying or how to use it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Dylan says, I've done 14 audiobooks, bunch of YouTube channels, Fiverr and Upwork jobs. How do I make the jump to bigger advertisement jobs? Who should I reach out to? Agents, advertisement agencies.
Both.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both for sure. I mean, the key to it is you have to have a marketing presentation and that includes demos that are going to be very impressive to those people. And the work that you've done up until that point may or may not fit the bill. So you may need to customize some demos and some presentation audio that's really going to speak their language. But yes, for sure. I mean, contacting talent agents, submitting your
Mm.
material to them for roster submission, speaking with members of the advertising community,
Yes.
yeah, that's
Something, Dylan, something just on this side, couple things. First, from this point on, and you could even go back to these people if you haven't done so. Always, I mean always ask when you submit your stuff, ask, "Hey, would you mind sending me a link to the work when it's done or a copy so
mhm,
I can check it out and
mhm,
possibly use it for marketing?" Getting those videos becomes paramount. Something that changed my business from what you're saying here for me to go to the next job or for me to go, to these agencies is having really just what Gabby said, really good visual presentations. Even though we're voice actors, it makes a difference. Like, for example, I was talking about Subaru earlier. When I send that to people, or I send even the spec work I've done, it looks so professional. It is, but it's so good that people are like, wow, we want that. We want that guy or that gal. You know what I
mhm.
mean? So since you're doing this work, you got to ask them for it. And I use software that allows me to download it if they have it on YouTube or something so I can grab that and put it into my portfolio folder so that I have it to share.
Yeah, like, I rely on iSpot.tv a lot for that, like,
Mhm.
I'll go search for my work and tag
Yes.
myself and then download it, but it gets tougher too because the longer you've been at this, the more NDAs you start signing, and
Mm.
then you can't use the work, so it's get it while you can,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
AJ's got another one.
Let's see. I wanted to start on something like Fiverr, but I'm afraid of being taken advantage of because I don't know what I'm doing yet. That's okay. You don't have to get started there
Fair.
right
Yeah.
away. I mean, you don't have to, do that.
I
Um,
think honestly,
yeah.
AJ, if you're afraid of, like you said, being taken advantage of, then my thought would be write down a list of the questions that you have or the fears, the concerns that you have, and start researching solutions to those problems.
Hmm.
Get those answers before you embark on that journey.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And even with Fiverr, and it's very little known because very few people do it, sadly. But we had the conversation about the contract yesterday. So what Gabby was saying about those questions, then even no matter what platform you're on, in fact, I and the only ones that don't, I think, I don't even know if any of them do, except maybe the voice realm. There might be one or two, but most of the platforms will allow you to use your own contract as well, no matter where you
Mm,
are.
mm,
A lot of them recommend it.
yeah.
Because the platforms themselves, don't forget, they are not there for you. They are there for themselves to
It's
make money.
true.
So everything in their terms and conditions, yes, there might be some things about for you that's really just to make us feel, more happy. But the
Right.
reality, it's all there. Which I'm not they're businesses. It's okay, but it's there for them.
Yeah,
It's there to protect them, not you or the client. So it's you want to have something for yourself.
for sure. Yeah.
Um,
Holy
yeah,
crap. We're at time again.
we are at
How
time
did this
already.
happen? Wild.
Well, it was a
Wild.
wonderful seeing you guys. Just as a quick reminder, it's Memorial Day weekend, so we will be back on Tuesday.
Yep.
All right. Take some. So the final parting advice would be, or for me, is take some time for yourself. You still need to get out and do
Mm-hmm.
something with
Mm-hmm.
your family or something as well.
Absolutely. Yep. Take a couple days off. Enjoy yourself. Have
Absolutely.
fun. That's our plan.
Voiceover is not
Um,
going anywhere.
no, it's not.
All right,
It's
you
not.
guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.